The afternoon sunlight streamed softly through the kitchen window, casting warm golden rectangles across the counter as I folded my granddaughter's tiny pink sweater. It still held the faint scent of baby lotion and sunshine, innocent, comforting. Something about folding children's clothes had always steadied me. It reminded me of the years when my own son, Noah, was small and the world felt predictable, manageable, safe. My phone buzzed on the table. I almost ignored it, thinking it was another reminder from the grocery app. But the caller ID read, Grand Laurel Hotel. Odd. I didn't know anyone from a hotel. Balancing the sweater in one hand, I answered. Hello. A man's voice responded, calm but laced with a tension he wasn't fully hiding. Mrs. Hale? This is Martin, the manager of the Grand Laurel Hotel. Yes? How can I help you? I asked, puzzled yet polite. He exhaled heavily, the kind of breath someone takes before saying something they wish they didn't have to. Ma'am, I need to verify something with you. My pulse ticked a little faster. What is it? Another short pause. Then he said the words that cleaved into my chest with quiet brutality. Your husband checked in yesterday under your name with a young woman. The room tilted. I gripped the back of a chair to keep myself grounded. For a heartbeat, I wondered if he had the wrong number, the wrong woman, anything that would make this less horrifying. My husband. I repeated, barely hearing my own voice. That can't be right. He's home right now. He's in the living room with our grandkids. The manager hesitated, and the silence between us thickened until my hands began to tremble. When he spoke again, his voice was softer, merciful even. Ma'am, please come to the hotel. It's important. And it gets worse. Worse? Worse than my husband supposedly sharing a hotel room with someone young enough to call me ma'am? Before I could respond, before I could even form a coherent question, he added quietly, I wouldn't have called if there were any doubt. Then the line went dead. I stood there, phone still in my hand, sweater draped limply over my arm. The house around me hummed with the faint sounds of cartoons playing in the living room and children's laughter, sounds that normally filled me with warmth. Now they felt far away, like echoes from another life. I walked toward the living room doorway. Daniel was on the rug with our grandson, stacking colorful blocks into a wobbly tower. He looked up and smiled at me, eyes creasing in that familiar way that used to make my heart feel full. How could he look so normal? So comfortable? So innocent? Amma, he said, using the nickname he'd called me for decades. You okay? You went pale all of a sudden. My throat tightened. My lips parted, but no words came out. What could I say? Are you cheating on me? Was it you at that hotel? Are the past 30 years a lie? I swallowed hard, forcing myself to breathe. I need to run an errand, I said instead. My voice sounded distant, almost like it belonged to someone else. Now? Is everything? I'll be back soon. He frowned but didn't push further. He turned back to the children, laughing as the tower collapsed. I grabbed my keys with fingers that felt strangely numb and stepped outside, the front door clicking softly behind me. The air was cool and sharp, like the world itself knew something had shifted, something irreversible. As I walked to the car, my mind spun with denial, fear, anger, confusion, each emotion clawing at the next until I couldn't tell which hurt most. I didn't want the truth, but the truth had already found me. And now I had no choice but to drive toward it. The Grand Laurel Hotel stood taller than I expected, a sleek building of glass and marble that reflected the gray afternoon sky. Its elegance only made my stomach twist harder. It felt wrong walking into a place that looked so clean while my insides felt so ruined. The lobby doors slid open with a soft hiss, releasing a breeze of warm air scented faintly with citrus and polished wood. I stepped inside, my pulse drumming unevenly against my ribs. People moved through the lobby with suitcases and smiles, unaware that my world was starting to crack at the seams. The manager spotted me almost instantly. He was a man in his 50s, tall with kind eyes that looked heavier than they should. He approached carefully, like someone approaching a wounded animal. Mrs. Hale? He asked gently. I nodded, though my throat was too tight for words. Thank you for coming, he said. If you'll follow me, we can talk somewhere private. Private. The word landed like a weight in my chest. He led me through the lobby toward a hallway behind the front desk. Every step felt unreal. as if my body moved on its own while my mind drifted a few inches above me. The soft click of his shoes against the floor echoed louder than it should have. We entered a small office with warm lighting and a glass wall overlooking a quiet courtyard. He shut the door behind us and motioned for me to sit. I did, clasping my trembling hands in my lap. "Mrs. Hale," he began, lowering himself into the chair across from me, "I want you to know I didn't call you lightly. In my position, discretion is extremely important. But I couldn't stay silent about what I saw." A cold wave washed through me. "Please," I whispered. "Just tell me." He exhaled slowly, steeling himself. "Your husband checked in yesterday afternoon. The reservation was under your name. The woman with him was much younger. Maybe late 20s. My chest constricted. I had expected to feel angry, but instead I felt hollow, like someone had scooped out the center of me. He hesitated before adding, "And your son was with them." A single blink. Another. The words didn't make sense. "My son," I repeated, voice cracking. "Noah." "Yes," he said softly. "He assisted them at check-in. He requested the room keys be issued without your husband's ID. He insisted that everything be kept quiet." My breath trembled out of me, sharp and uneven. Betrayal from a husband was one thing, but betrayal from a child, my child, felt like a knife twisted slowly. "Do you have proof?" I finally managed. Wordlessly, he turned his monitor toward me and clicked a video file. And there they were. Daniel standing at the counter. His posture relaxed, his hand resting on the small of a young woman's back as if it belonged there. She leaned into him, smiling up at him in a way that once belonged to me. And then, Noah, my son, my baby, talking to the clerk, gesturing toward the reservation form. His face wasn't uncertain or troubled. It was neutral, focused, like he'd done this before. I stared at the screen, my heartbeat slowing into something heavy and dull. A ringing filled my ears, faint but piercing. "He told me." The manager paused. "He told me to keep the matter private, that it was a family situation. But when I saw your name on the reservation, and the way your husband behaved, I couldn't ignore the feeling that you didn't know." He stopped the video. I wiped a tear I didn't even remember shedding. "Thank you," I murmured. My voice sounded older, fragile. "I suppose I needed to see it." He leaned forward gently. "Mrs. Hale, can I call someone for you? A friend? A relative?" I shook my head. "No, I need to handle this myself." Rising slowly, I felt a strange, cold calm settle over me. Anger hadn't come yet. Maybe it would later. Right now I was numb, but that numbness was turning into something sharper. I walked out of the office with my spine straighter than when I'd entered. If Daniel and Noah thought I would stay silent, they did not know me at all. And I was about to prove it. The drive home felt longer than it ever had before. My hands were tight on the steering wheel, my knuckles pale as bone. The hotel footage replayed in my mind in harsh loops. Daniel's arm around that young woman, the way she leaned into him with ease, the way he smiled back, familiar and intimate. But the image that hurt most wasn't theirs. It was Noah's. My son standing at the counter, calmly assisting them as if he were helping with a routine errand. No hesitation, no shame, no flicker of guilt. Just business. Efficient. Cooperative. The betrayal cut deeper than any blade could. When I reached the house, the children's laughter echoed faintly from inside. It felt cruel that the world kept spinning, that innocence still existed somewhere close enough to hear. I opened the door quietly. Daniel was in the hallway, his phone in his hand, his brow creased with confusion and slight worry. He looked up the moment he saw me. "Amma," he said softly, "where did you go? You left so suddenly." The sight of him nearly made my stomach turn. That same face, those familiar lines, had kissed me goodnight for 30 years. That same man had held my hand through storms, promised me loyalty, promised me forever. Yet yesterday he'd held another woman. "Where were you yesterday?" I asked quietly. He froze. Just for half a second, but enough. A tiny flicker of panic whispered across his expression before he masked it. "At work," he answered too quickly. "I told you, the team." "No," I said. "Try again." His jaw tightened. "Amma, what's going on?" Footsteps approached from behind him. Noah appeared, pale and anxious, as though he'd been listening from the living room. When he saw my face, his own fell with dread. "Mom," he started. "Just please let me explain." I stared at him, this grown man who once clung to my legs and cried when I left him at preschool. I had held him through fevers, stayed up nights sewing last-minute costumes, sacrificed so many pieces of myself for his comfort and happiness. And he had betrayed me with the ease of signing a check-in form. "You helped your father cheat on me," I said, voice trembling. "And you booked the room under my name. Why, Noah? How could you do that to me?" He swallowed hard, his voice cracking. "Mom, I didn't want to. I swear. Dad, he promised he'd help me. I've been behind on bills, you know that. And he said he'd give me money if I just helped him this once." This once. My laugh was bitter, sharp, nothing like me. "Don't lie to me. The manager showed me the footage. You knew exactly what you were doing." Tears welled in his eyes now, guilt finally catching up with him. "I didn't want to hurt you. I didn't. I didn't know what to do." "And you thought betraying your mother was the answer?" I whispered. Daniel stepped forward, raising his hands as if to calm us. "Amma, this is getting out of hand. Listen. Be quiet." My voice cracked like ice. "I want you to tell me the truth. All of it." Daniel looked at me for a long moment, and then his shoulders sagged. "Deflated. Defeated. Guilty. Her name is Lila," he said. "We've been involved for almost 2 years. 2 years. The world tilted again, but this time I didn't fall. I planted my feet firmly on the hardwood, letting the words wash over me like acid. 2 years of lies. 2 years of me cooking his meals, washing his clothes, loving him without hesitation, while he was sharing himself with another woman. My voice lowered into something cold and unfamiliar. Why? Why her? Why do this to me? He rubbed his forehead, as if I were the one burdening him. "I don't know. I didn't mean for it to happen. It just did. But I still love you, Amma." "Don't you dare say that," I snapped. "You don't love someone you humiliate. You don't love someone you cheat on for years. You don't love someone you lie to daily." Noah sobbed softly behind him. "Mom, please." I looked at both of them, the two people I had trusted most in the world. My husband. My son. My family. My life. And something inside me hardened. "You made your choices," I said quietly. "Now it's my turn." And for the first time in my life, I walked away from them without looking back. The morning after the confrontation dawned strangely calm. Sunlight spilled across the floor in soft streaks, as though the world had decided to offer me a gentle beginning despite the storm that still raged inside me. I lay awake long before the alarm, staring at the ceiling, replaying everything Daniel and Noah had confessed. 2 years of lies. Months of my son's silence. A lifetime of love, loyalty, and sacrifice turned brittle like dried petals in an old book. But something had changed inside me. The grief, the shock, the hollow ache, they were still there, but beneath them, a new feeling rose. Something steady. Something resolute. I slid out of bed with a quiet certainty. I would not beg. I would not break. I would rebuild. Without them. By 8 in the morning, I was standing inside the bank, sitting across from a young financial officer who gave me a sympathetic look after reading the paperwork I'd prepared. She didn't ask what happened. She didn't need to. The firmness in my voice said enough. "Yes, freeze the joint accounts," I told her. "Redirect my salary to my personal account only. And I'd like to change the beneficiaries on my policies." She nodded. "Of course, Mrs. Hale." It took less than an hour to reclaim the pieces of my life that had been shared, misused, or taken for granted. I didn't feel triumphant. I felt clean. Like wiping fog off a mirror to see my reflection clearly for the first time in years. By noon, I stood outside Daniel's office building. A divorce server, a woman with sharp eyes and a clipboard, waited near the entrance. "You're sure you want them delivered here?" she asked. "Yes," I replied, my voice calm. "He wanted a public secret. Now he can have a private truth." She nodded, understanding immediately. A few minutes later, I watched from the car as Daniel exited the building, confused by being called down. When the envelope was handed to him, his face crumpled in disbelief, then panic, then anger. He scanned the surrounding area, searching for me. I didn't give him the satisfaction of being found. Instead, I drove away, a soft exhale leaving my chest. Not joy, not victory, just release. But I wasn't finished. At 3 p.m., I returned to the Grand Laurel Hotel, the same place where lies had been born under my name. The irony wasn't lost on me. The lobby seemed calmer today, quieter, as though the building itself sensed the storm that had passed through. When I approached the counter, the receptionist recognized me instantly. "Mrs. Hale, are you here to speak to the manager?" "No," I placed my ID on the counter. "I'm here to check in." She blinked in surprise but quickly recovered, scanning the reservation. "Ah yes. The room is reserved under your name. The one originally." "Yes," I cut in gently. "It's mine now." Just then a sharp, irritated voice rose behind me. She said there should be a room here. "Are you telling me it's not available anymore?" I turned to see her, Lila. Young, beautiful, flushed with frustration. She recognized me instantly, her lips parting in shock. "You," she started, but no words followed. I looked at her with a calm I didn't know I had. "You used my name to hide. Now you can watch me reclaim it." I didn't insult her. I didn't shout. I didn't cry. That somehow unsettled her more. I took the elevator up to the suite where my marriage had died long before I knew it. When I opened the door, the scent of lavender greeted me. The same air, the same room, but everything was different, 'cause now I was here. I walked inside, and for the first time in months, maybe years, I felt alone in a way that wasn't lonely. I ordered room service. Steak cooked perfectly, a small chocolate cake, a glass of champagne. Not to celebrate the end of my marriage, but to honor the beginning of myself. I sat on the balcony as dusk settled, city lights waking one by one like fireflies against the twilight. I lifted the champagne glass slowly, letting the bubbles rise and burst like tiny affirmations. Here, in the place where they betrayed me, I chose myself. My phone buzzed with Daniel's texts. I ignored them. Noah sent a long apology. I responded simply, "I love you, but healing will take distance." Then I turned my phone off and leaned back, letting the night breeze wash over me. My revenge wasn't cruel. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't destructive. It was peace. It was dignity. It was walking away quietly while their world fell apart without me in it. For the first time in decades, I whispered aloud to myself, "I am free." And I meant it.